Hey, how you doing? This is Craig Beck from StopDrinkingExpert.com. Welcome in to today's video. We are going to do another live session on Monday, so put it in your diary. Make sure you keep an eye on YouTube. We'll be doing live question and answers, ask me anything, free coaching, whatever you want Monday. Also, I think it's just helpful for us to regularly get together, kind of AA meeting style, and just have a shared experience and know that we're not alone. I think that's really important. So today, quick video. I just wanted to jump in on empty nest syndrome and alcohol addiction. Because as you know, I do believe that alcohol is only ever the symptom of a bigger problem. And I think that's why the medical profession struggles to effectively deal with alcoholism, because you go to the doctor with a drinking problem and they try and treat the drinking problem. And you can't blame them for that. That's kind of what doctors do. Doctors are basically in pain management, aren't they? You go to a doctor with some sort of ailment that's causing you trouble. They try and take the ailment away. To go much deeper is really the job of a psychiatrist or a therapist or something like that. So going to doctors with this kind of this problem almost forces them to use a bit of a blunt tool, unless they have first-hand experience of this and they kind of understand at a deeper level what's going on. All addiction, in my opinion, is the source of underlying dis-ease, discomfort. There is something there that is causing you pain that you're trying to escape from. We are human beings. We are hardwired to take the path of least resistance. And often that is to try and ignore the problem, because tackling the issue can be traumatic and painful and uncomfortable. Now, in the long term, obviously you'll come out better on the other side of dealing with this. But in the short term, you'll have to go through pain and misery, and we're just programmed to avoid pain at all costs. So we take the path of least resistance, and along comes this marketed drug in our supermarkets, in our social lives, and this drug pops up and says, hey, you know that pain you got? I can help you with that. And for a very short period of time, it does exactly that. Alcohol makes you forget about your problems, makes you forget about why you were so miserable in the first place. It is a mild anesthetic, and it does its job. Unfortunately, you build up resistance to it, and you have to drink more and more to get the same effect, until you get to the point where you are drinking a very unhealthy amount of alcohol. You are drinking bottles of wine a day, or half a bottle of spirits a day, or a six-pack of lager every day, just to get the same buzz that you used to get from a sip from your granny's sherry. And this resistance will go on until you die. So I think one of the most painful things about alcohol is the kind of slow water torture way that it works. You don't just start drinking and then a week later, oh, I've got a terrible problem, I better deal with this. This drug lets you go decades before you realize if you don't stop now, you're going to die. And by that point, you've had decades of using this as the solution to your biggest problem. And here you are in middle age now with this painful problem, and also a desire to remove the solution. So you can see how it gets very miserable. Specifically, empty nest syndrome is, I think, one of the reasons why we tend to see more problem drinking men younger and more problem drinking women older, because the kids leaving home, no longer having a role to play as a mother, is extremely painful. Not just for women, for men as well. Men not being needed as dad anymore is painful, but it is much more so for women. And I think this is partly the reason why we tend to see women over the age of kind of 40, 45 developing drinking problems, where men are more likely to do it younger. So what is empty nest syndrome? If you want to find out more, you can go to the blog at stopdrinkingexpert.com. Basically, empty nest syndrome happens when a mom or dad experiences deep and long-term unhappiness, solitude, or grief when a child, typically their oldest child, vacates the home for the very first time. Even though it's not a medically recognized disorder, its manifestations are very genuine. And if you are a mom or dad, and the kids have left, you will know how painful this can be. There's lots of elements to it. It's like, in fact, a lot of the things that you didn't like before, suddenly you find you're missing them. The lack of noise from bedrooms, once full of pop music and laughing and teenagers. That silence is painfully loud, isn't it? And then there's the lack of purpose. Even as though you were crazy busy as a parent trying to hold down a job and feed the kids and entertain them and look after them. When all that suddenly goes, you're left with this vacuum, this emptiness inside. And unfortunately, a lot of women try and fill this vacuum by throwing alcohol into it. Like I said, it's not just women, but predominantly women dealing with this problem. This is a problem men also feel as well at different stages in their life: loss of career, retirement, things like that. It's a common sensation, but a lot of people turn to alcohol because it hurts so much. So what I wanted to say to you, if that's you, even though it might feel like it at the moment, alcohol isn't the answer. And actually, the way you feel now is going to get worse if you're using alcohol to deal with the problem. Because honestly, using alcohol to deal with this emptiness inside is like using petrol, like using gasoline to try and put out a fire because it's wet. It seems like it should do the job, but you're going to find out that it doesn't very dramatically. And all that's going to happen is you can spend years taking this anesthetic to make the pain go away, and you'll find in 5-10 years time you have exactly the same pain, but now you have a compounded problem of alcohol addiction as well. Your health will have been damaged, your relationships will have been damaged, your finances will have been damaged. Everything will be infinitely worse if you try and use alcohol to cope with this problem. So what do? If you can't use alcohol, if you can't use drugs, what do you do? The answer is you've got to accept it, first of all. I think one of the biggest problems is the failure to accept what has happened and clinging to the hope that one day they'll come back. Especially if your kids have got a job in a different town, clinging to the hope that, maybe they'll get a job in the local town and come back to you. You're just setting yourself up for more heartache, because there is a chance that they won't. There's a good chance they won't. Kids have a tendency to go off and live their lives. And I know that. I have 2 children. My daughter is in England. My son is in San Francisco. I'm 2,000 miles away from my daughter. I'm 6,000 miles away from my son. They're off living their lives, and that's how it should be. It hurts, and I miss them, and they miss me, but it's kind of how it's supposed to be, isn't it? So I think when this happens, first thing, accept it. And secondly, you have to do a complete evaluation of your life, and you're going to have a lot more time available. What you mustn't do is just leave that time sitting there like a vacuum, because it's going to hurt. So, when anyone stops drinking, I always tell them, look, you've got to make sure for the first couple of weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, your diary is ram-packed with stuff. You don't ever want to be in this situation where you're sitting on the sofa on your own, feeling sorry for yourself, because the evil clown is going to jump up and he's going to say, hey, you don't need to feel like this. I can help you. And it's going to seem very compelling and very logical, and you'll probably follow it. So you need to fill your diary with stuff. What stuff? Well, look, there are things that you couldn't do as a mom or a dad because you didn't have the time. And you let them go, and you've probably not thought about them for years. These are the things you need to start bringing back. There are things you used to do for fun before you had kids, and you did them just for fun. No financial gain, no ulterior motive. You did them because you loved it. And I know there are things that you've let go because you had kids and life got crazy for 16 years. You got to bring those back in. For me, it was photography. I was crazy about photography until I was about 16 years old. And then I didn't touch a camera again until I was in my early 30s. There are things there in the past that you love that you've forgotten about. Exercise is really important. Getting physical, staying active, getting out of the house, getting fresh air, appreciating nature and beauty, and all these things that sound like cliches, but they're really important. And what I found personally, it's about routine. Lockdown was particularly tough for me because I don't have a boss. I don't go to work. I'm my own boss, and I'll work when I want to work. And that sounds lovely and amazing and wonderful. But when you're locked down and you're in an office like this on your own, the days can feel very long. And you can get into this rut of just not doing anything, just kind of wasting away the day. And what I found personally is routine helps. Saying to yourself that tomorrow I'm going to do this, 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 and this. Even if they're really tedious jobs, but they need doing, practical things. You just got to make sure that you fill your days. And you know that tomorrow I'm doing this, 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 and this. And as long as you've got the next day sorted a day in advance, life feels better. Maybe we're just distracting ourselves with the mundane stuff, but it's better than sitting on the sofa in misery and pain because you miss your kids and you don't know what your purpose in life is anymore. Distract yourself until you find what your new thing is. Because this is not the end of your life. This is not the end of your purpose. It's just a change. It's a transformation into the second part of your life. And, there's loads of really emotional, empathetic, caring human beings out there who did an amazing job of bringing up kids for 16 years. Are you telling me these sorts of people don't have skills that are transferable into another area to help the people of this planet, to help this world? Quick story before we finish. I was doing a quit drinking boot camp in Nashville. A lady stood up. She said, this is exactly my problem, Craig. She said, I've got empty nest syndrome. Brought up 3 wonderful boys. They've all left home. And I do not know who I am anymore. I do not know why I should be getting up every morning. And we did a coaching session live at the boot camp. And we found out what she liked and what she didn't like. And it turned out she's a massive animal rights supporter, lover of animals. And I said to her, well, what is your ultimate dream then when it comes to animals? And she said, I'd love to set up a boarding kennel and have a rescue section so I can rescue dogs that have been abandoned, and also have a business side to it where I run the kennels for people going away on vacation. They can board their dogs with me. And I said, what's stopping you doing that? And she thought about it for a moment and she went, nothing. And that's exactly what she did. She left that boot camp that day. She went home. She spoke to her husband and said, look, this is what I've decided I want to do. And that is what she did. She contacted me 6 months later. She said, we've had a custom built dog shelter built. There is a section for the rescues. There's a luxury boarding section. And she said, I have a brand new business. And it's all because of that conversation we had at Quit Drinking Boot Camp. So that's the sort of thing I'm talking about. Know that you're not on your own. Accept what is happening. Keep yourself busy. Distract yourself until you find your new path, and you're going to be fine. I hope that helps. Now, don't forget, we're doing a live Q&A on Monday. Put it in your diary. Keep an eye on YouTube, and think of anything you want to ask. Or if you're nailing this, if you're doing fantastic, then come in on Monday and tell us your story so we can share that with everyone else. Thanks so much for watching. Speak soon.
Imagine if you woke up tomorrow morning, no hangover, no guilt, no regret, just full of energy and vitality. That is the life that is waiting for you. And the best time to get started on this sober journey is right now. And trust me on this, I've been there and done it. I've tried everything. Every quirk, every gimmick, every rehab. I've tried AA, prescription medication, hypnosis, cold turkey, willpower, you name it, I tried it. And none of it worked. Until I worked out the secret, the mindset that you have to have if you want to kick alcohol into touch forever. Commit to your happy, sober future right now. Go to the website, stopdrinkingexpert.com/webinar, and book your slot on the next free Quit Drinking coaching program. You'll even get a free copy of my best-selling book, Alcohol Lied to Me, as a gift just for watching the webinar. If you're serious about this, make today the day you do something about it.